Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the JT Wrestling Podcast. This is Tristan.
And I am Jason.
And this week we have a very special guest on the show.
I think so.
Oh, he's gonna answer me. Martin Saycon is on the show tonight. So, first of all, Martin, would you like to plug any YouTubes, Twitters, or anything of that sort?
No, I'm just gonna have to thank you guys for having me on the show. Anyone who's out there in New Jersey, obviously, come to New Jersey, check out the wrestling company that we've got going on. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Alright, that's perfect, because we're going to start out the show with asking you a few questions about your wrestling. So, Jason, let's just kick it off with you, okay?
Alright, now we're going to kick it off the good way. Alright, so, how long have you been a wrestler?
Wow. Oh my god. I started wrestling when I was 12. We started doing it when we were 12. And, we want to make a statement because in New Jersey, in northern New Jersey, we didn't really have a company. There was nothing really that people could go to enjoy wrestling. And people said, well, Marty, you have a really nice backyard. Why don't you start wrestling? So when I was wrestling at 12, we were just doing ground wrestling, like solid ground, and parents were a little scared and nervous. But I've been wrestling since I was 12, so.
And how old are you now?
23. Soon to be 24.
So almost, man, I'm bad at math. So about 11 years almost then.
Yeah.
So, Martin, where do you want to go with wrestling? Do you just plan to stay on a smaller scene like this, or do you want to go to bigger, better places, or where do you stand on that?
Well, I started wrestling. Initially, I didn't even like the wrestling part. I like the whole, going out there and just hyping up events and just getting the audience pumped up. And, my friend said, Marty, you're a pretty big guy at the time. You should try wrestling. And I tried it, and I really liked it a lot. But where I want to go with it, I think I'm happy with the whole small circuit thing. I'm happy with entertaining smaller audiences. I think that if I was to do something bigger with it, it would be great, but I feel like somebody of my talent, I'm not saying that I'm extremely talented, but there's rarely guys like me that come around that can be really good on the mic, and I just really enjoy connecting with smaller audiences, and I'm enjoying where I'm at right now with all the other wrestlers, so.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I know a lot of people have that really instant connection with a smaller crowd rather than a larger crowd, so I hear that a lot too.
Yeah, and I think that you get more. The crowd grows more on you. This is great. You have a personal relationship with WWE wrestlers, but every day, I've had same guys coming out in the crowd for 5 years now, 6 years now. They stick with you. It's more of a family than anything. They're out there just as emotionally invested in the match, just as emotionally invested in your career. We might go on the road somewhere in New Jersey and they follow us, and the next thing you know, they're like, hey, I remember back in 2008 when, you pulled off that huge move, or you won the championship again, and it's like, wow, you were there? Wow, that really means a lot to me. And I think you lose that when you join big companies like WWE.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And speaking of WWE, who was your favorite wrestler growing up as a child?
Growing up, my favorite wrestler was definitely The Rock. Instantly, I remember I started getting into wrestling. I didn't start fully watching it on a full basis until about the time The Undertaker started having the whole corporate ministry ordeal. I watched it on and off before then, but I really didn't get into it fully until around then. And I just fell in love with The Rock's total cocky attitude. He was cocky, he was able to be cocky, and have you hate him, and at the same time, you were like, oh my god, this guy is amazing. He is phenomenal on the mic. He's just phenomenal in the ring. How can I hate this guy even though he's so cocky? And that's what I really respect about him. And I also respected about him because, like I said myself, he wasn't just talented on WWE. He was talented in commercials. He was talented whatever he did outside of the ring. So I just fell in love with The Rock because he was an all-around guy, not just a wrestler.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so, what would be your favorite year in wrestling overall?
Wow, my favorite year? It's hard to pinpoint a year. I think my favorite decade or whatever of wrestling was the Attitude Era. I mean, I couldn't pinpoint a year, but my favorite decade was probably, well, actually, I probably could pinpoint a year. The year that WWE purchased WCW and ECW was probably the best year that they had before everything, started getting PG rating, because you had so many wrestlers and they had so many ideas and so many different characters. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough shows, there wasn't enough time on the air to power all the ideas, but you never knew what was going to happen because they were still trying to throw out the whole, we got ECW guys, we got WCW guys, even though it was under one company. Vince was very active on TV. It was probably at the height of everything. Shane McMahon was still there. So probably my favorite year was that year when they purchased both companies. And it was sort of like a victory because all these years I was committed to WWE, watching WWE. I never watched like a moment of WCW. I might have turned it on for a little bit since it came on at 8 o'clock and Raw came on at 9. But it was sort of like a huge victory when it owned WCW. I was like, wow, we finally did it. I felt like as a fan, we finally did it.
Yeah, for sure. And what point did you want to become a wrestler?
When did I want to become a wrestler?
Yeah.
Well, initially, like I said, it was 2 years before, so probably when I was 14, I wanted to really start wrestling and really start training for it and learning moves and learning how to get a lot better at the sport. That's probably when I decided.
Alright.
Alright, cool. A lot of big part of being a wrestling fan, a really great thing is actually seeing the moments live and stuff. What are some of the notable wrestling events you've attended?
Oh wow! So the best event I ever attended was SummerSlam, Madison Square Garden. I forget what the year it was, but it was the match between Triple H and The Rock, the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. China blowed The Rock during the match. It was such an intense. It was my first ever event, and I was surprised by it. I didn't even know I was going to the event, and we had 4 seats. And one thing I have to say is, unless it's like a big pay-per-view match where there's a cage or something like that, you have to have close seats to really appreciate it and really see it for the full value. You really have to have close seats to be able to be a part of it. So I was in there. I've done a few Raw events that were newer, that were no really big deal. But overall, I mean, I don't prefer to watch it live as much. I love watching live at school, but I feel like there's a delay for me. It wasn't what I expected it to be, unless it was a pay-per-view.
Alright, and by the way, that was 1998 SummerSlam.
Yeah. I was a really SummerSlam has always been my favorite pay-per-view.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, not on to the live parts. Like when you're watching on TV on your couch, you get different camera angles, you get the commentary. When you're live, you get a bunch of kids sitting next to you, a bunch of fans. You don't hear the commentary, you get one view at it, unless you're looking at the Titantron, of course. So there are pros and cons about seeing it live and on TV.
Oh, exactly. No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's, I think that I like to hear the jokes about the King and on TV a lot better than hearing a lot of the chanting. Now, that being said, if somebody like The Rock or somebody who can electrify the audience just instantly, a Chris Jericho or something is going to be at that event, it's going to be better live no matter what.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of Jericho, he's actually going to be competing at the Royal Rumble this Sunday, and right now we're just going to talk a little bit about how they've hyped up the Royal Rumble. They've had a pretty good build-up to it this year, in my opinion. They really built up the Rumble, having Jericho in it. Mick Foley's going to be in it. You got Ziggler and Punk. It's just going to be a really great show for it.
I think that I agree with you. I think they hyped up the Rumble very well. I also think that they underhyped the Rumble. I think you're going to see a lot of, just like you do every year, you're going to see a lot of surprises, a lot of really cool entries that you didn't expect to go in there. As far as the whole Mick Foley thing, no disrespect to Mick Foley, but I mean, it's great to have him back. I wish he looked or was 100%. He doesn't look like the same Mick Foley. I understand he's getting a little bit older, but I mean, it's great to have him back in it. Dolph Ziggler, he's gonna be awesome. Dolph Ziggler's character is finally starting to shape a little bit, so I think that was a good move for them to continue to push him through a little bit more. With Chris Jericho being in the Rumble, that was probably the best build. The best build that they have done right now was not having Chris Jericho talk that entire time and pushing him into the Rumble. So I'm waiting for the heel turn on that. With the Royal Rumble, though, I think they did a good job this year building it up. I'm excited to see it. I think there's going to be some really, but let me say this: there's going to be some surprise entries that you're just going to be like, wow, I had no idea. Because you're always standing up and you're always rooting for these guys that you don't see all year. I mean, you see a lot of legends enter the Rumble that you don't see all year. This is the most exciting time from the Rumble to WrestleMania. This is the most exciting time for us to be a wrestling fan.
Oh yeah, and since it's like the 25th anniversary and all that, they're definitely going to be pulling out all the stops in the Rumble this year, without a doubt.
Definitely.
Another match that people might not be talking about too much. First of all, because a lot of people don't watch SmackDown anymore, but I do for one, and I'm pretty excited for this match. What are your thoughts on the Triple Threat Steel Cage match?
Oh god, I honestly not really looking forward to this at all. I mean, you got Big Show, you got Mark Henry. The only thing that can make this better is Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan, of course, is the best wrestler in the world. Mr. American Dragon.
I saw that coming.
You all know what I think of Daniel Bryan, but
you and your Bryan-gasms.
What's up?
You and your Bryan-gasms.
Oh god. Anyways, but hopefully he'll level out the two heavyweights in the ring. And making this a steel cage match, I think actually this could be somewhat entertaining. I know it's not going to steal the show, but I think this could be a good addition to the card. And so I'd much rather see this than see another Big Show, which is Mark Henry.
I understand what you're saying, Tristan, but here's the problem with this. They've thrown Mark Henry and Big Show at us enough. I mean, Mark Henry is great, Big Show is great, but Daniel Bryan, I don't know what. This is clearly a match for Daniel Bryan to get some legit wins under his belt. I mean, he's been getting wins under his belt, but legit wins. If he can beat the Big Show and Mark Henry, putting a steel cage around it was probably WWE's way of making the Big Show and Mark Henry not have to work so hard. It's going to be interesting, but it's not going to be anything over the top. They could really be expanding Big Show and Mark Henry's feud a lot more if Mark Henry wasn't always injured all the time, or Daniel Bryan wasn't in the mix. So it's SmackDown, so you never know what's going to happen. But I really don't see this being like an over the top excitement like it could be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now moving along to the other world title match, the WWE Championship. I think this has been built fantastically, but Dolph Ziggler, this is kind of seeing what you saw last year at WrestleMania 27, where The Rock and John Cena were having, this big feud. The Miz got left out. I think the same thing's happening here with John Laurinaitis and CM Punk, with leaving out Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. Yeah, I think that's clearly what's happening here. I think it's just that they're not sure. I don't think they're really sure what to do with Colson off because initially, from what I heard, WWE thought that CM Punk was going to be a little bit of a bigger push than it was, and now he's kind of easing off a little bit. And so they're kind of like, I don't know if he should have the title, I don't know if he shouldn't have the title, but at the same time, Dolph Ziggler's character hasn't fully developed. So, but that was a perfect analogy with what you just did with John Cena and The Rock.
Yeah, really good analogy on that.
I like how James probably doesn't even know what analogy means, but...
I do not.
Alright, so, moving along to Kane versus John Cena, I just think this whole thing with Ryder's just been stupid, but I like to see what we saw from John Cena. Your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, the thing with Ryder has been stupid, but yeah, this has been built up pretty good, how Kane's been saying, don't rise above the hate, you gotta embrace the hate. And what happened on Monday, that was, he's pissed off, yeah.
This is great. This is probably, I'm not going to say it's Kane's best promo, but this has turned into an awesome promo for Kane and for John Cena and the whole Zack Ryder thing. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how he got thrown into this mix. I mean, 1 minute he's the champion, the next minute he's basically getting shit on all the time by Kane. So I don't know what's going on with him in this, but this has been awesome. I did not see this coming with Kane turning John Cena heel.
Yeah, I actually never thought that they would be considering Cena going heel, but by the looks of it, they are actually looking towards turning him heel. But that's really surprising to me.
Well, I understand that the heel Cena, the original Cena that came into the company was much better than the whole kid hero Fruity Pebbles Cena.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Alright, so, I guess we'll just move on to we talk slightly about the, returns coming here, the surprise entries, but, what are you guys' thoughts on the overall Rumble? This year, I believe the champions are allowed to compete or something that they haven't been able to do in the past. But, what are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win the Rumble a lot? The people are saying Jericho.
You just
I think it's easy to pick Chris Jericho. To win the Rumble, I really don't know at this point because they've really set it up so well that it can go in any direction. I mean, we pretty much have the storyline set for WrestleMania, and I'm thinking the Rumble is going to mess up that idea that we're having right now of what's going to go on in WrestleMania. So I really couldn't tell you who's going to win the Rumble. I can just say that I don't think it's going to be Chris Jericho.
For me, there could be a bunch of surprises, but you never know. You can never pick an actual prediction because there could be someone there could be a surprise return. Then you could be like, oh, I'm going for that guy, and then it's just like you can never pick until all the guys are in there. But I'm going for Jericho to win this. It would just make perfect sense where he could basically give a really good promo on Monday saying, I picked CM Punk to go against at Mania, and it would just make a whole lot of sense to have Jericho win.
Yeah, so now we've went pretty much through all the matches. What are you guys thinking about the overall card and what's compared to what we've seen in the last few months? And yeah, just what do you think? If the show's going to be good at all or what?
I think it's going to be a really good show. I'm really excited for this. Yeah, don't know what I'm saying now. Editing.
The card in general, it's not going to be the card that pushes this event. It's really not. It's going to be the Royal Rumble. It's going to be the surprises that you're going to be seeing in the Royal Rumble that's going to make this one of the better Royal Rumbles that they've ever had. So, I mean, the card is a little, the card is almost like a pilot series to like the show. It's a little dull. They got to set up the whole ordeal for WrestleMania, so the card's okay. It could be a little bit better, but the Rumble is what's really gonna. I'm telling you, during the Royal Rumble, something surprising is gonna happen. That's why I can't go with Chris Jericho to win it, because there's other ways to get into the main event of WrestleMania for the title. There's other ways to get into it. They make it sound like if you win the Royal Rumble, that's the only way you're going to get a title shot at WrestleMania. Things change. There's pay-per-view between that. So Jericho will somehow get his title shot at some point, whether it be WrestleMania or whatever. But it's leaning too much towards him to win the Royal Rumble. So I'm thinking I think the event is overall it's a good event, but it's not going to be the card. It's going to be the Royal Rumble itself that's going to power this thing.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much covering it. Am I right, Jason? Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's about it, actually.
All right. Well, it's been sorry, that weird whistle thing, but it's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Any last words?
Well, no, thank you guys for having me on the show. I like what you guys are doing out there with the Wrestling Federation, and you guys just remind me a lot of myself when I was younger. So, it's nice to have people that are still dedicated and passionate about this sport.
Yeah, thank you, and be sure to support Martin's promotion. Do you have a name for that? Do you have a website or anything you'd want us to link on that?
Yeah, I can't really promote that because, like I said, that's standard contract rules. But if anyone wants to, they can contact me on the Blog TV. They can contact me on Facebook, Martin Saycon. Search it on Google, and you'll find a bunch of stuff.
And I can actually link it down in the description box if you don't want to do any work for it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Alright, cool.
And join us next week when we will have YWC legend Luke Cage 29, but now known as Nation of Cage 29 on. That's going to be really fun to have Luke on. Well,
yeah, for sure. And, one more last thanks to Martin. And this is the JT Wrestling Podcast, signing off.